Welcome to the Do Life Well podcast. Join your host, Gavin and his guests as they explore the nature of doing life well. Now, let's dive in.
Well, welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Do Life Well podcast. I'm your host, Gavin Merwin, and I'm very excited for today's episode, which will be airing on December the 1st, as we go into the holiday season with a focus on generosity and community service. And super excited today about today's conversation, and let's dive in. So take a second, introduce yourself, and we can talk a little bit about why you're here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Smith. I'm the CEO of the Greater Valdosta United Way. We cover 11 counties across South Georgia. Also a husband, father, and then a newly elected Lowndes County Commissioner. So wear a lot of different hats, serve on different state boards and organizations, and just passionate about my community, and also advocating for South Georgia.
Yeah, and maybe talk about that for a second, because you're from Valdosta too, right?
Yep. My backstory a little bit from Valdosta. Played basketball, baseball, football growing up. Played high school sports, and then went on to college and played baseball, and then got drafted, played a little minor league ball, came back, got involved with our family business. We were in the alcohol, tobacco, gas station, retail business. Ran that for maybe 17 years, and then we sold those, and this opportunity came up. There was a job posting. I didn't even know, honestly, the United Way, what it was, existed. It's got a rich history, 130-year history, 70 plus years in Lowndes County in our community, but I wasn't familiar with it. And my grandmother and my uncle both sent me the thing saying, hey, when you're looking for this transition from the private sector and new career, this may be it. So it fit a lot of my goals and aspirations and where my heart was, and been doing that now 6 years. So learning a lot, but private sector to the human service sector, sure. And now learning politics too. So. Yeah,
a lot of different areas of life kind of all meshed into one.
It is, amazing. And seeing my girls grow up through that too, and how much the last 10 years have changed with their age and life, and the world, our world and our community's changed a lot the last many years too. So you always got to be flexible and looking at the new challenges and opportunities that the Lord puts in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. So what kind of did you have that sort of community-mindedness and volunteerism and all that kind of in the time in business too, or was that almost just by accident it just happened and you're like, oh wow, there's a huge need here, I can go fill it, if that makes sense?
No, I was very passionate and involved. I did leadership lounge and worked and served on other boards, and was on the Tourism Authority board and VSU alumni board, and involved with the chamber. So I've always been very community minded with our businesses and the responsibility of small businesses want to work, give back, serve. I wanted my girls and family to know about being involved with churches and service, and just being a person that's trying to make your community better.
Yeah.
I also saw, a lot of the issues when you run retail establishments. You see a lot of the public, the top tier, and people, struggling to get by coming in, and the challenges of running that, running a small business. You wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. And
same thing now with managing a nonprofit. You wear a lot of hats.
Sure.
It's not profit driven, it's people driven, but
Sure.
you're still running a business and organization. So I think that skill set helped, and you're only as good as your employees and your team and stuff too. So the transition from being community minded to where United Way is, which the mission of United Way is to mobilize the caring power of the community. So it's all about connections, relationships, partnerships,
Sure.
and trying to, advocate and inspire people to care and give.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and maybe even round that out some about United Way, because I'm a bit familiar because I have a personal connection, right? But if there are others that don't, what is it? What does it do? How does it differ? Like, how does United Way fit into a community? And like, obviously, you guys do a ton of work in Valdosta and South Georgia, but what does that look like?
Well, I've been blessed to serve on our National Advisory Council, so I have a good insight with the national organization and scope, and been chair of our State Association of Georgia along with the local level. But United Way is a 130-plus-year-old organization. We're one of the largest NGOs in the country and in the world. Close to $5 billion is raised globally. Most of our partnerships are large corporate partners. Of course, there is some government and individual funding, but and we do most of our giving through workplace payroll giving with large partners like Publix and Wells Fargo, IBM, AT&T, Target, and then of course you have local partners like Langdale and Miller Hardware and Synovus Bank, and those organizations through the long history is about workplace giving, asking people to chip in and then know that those dollars are being accounted for and given to worthy, impactful nonprofits on the local level. There's a little over 1,000 United Ways across the country. There's about 60, I think, internationally. And it was originally started, if you go back and look, as in Denver. It was, don't know the whole story, but it was like a businessman, a preacher, a rabbi got together and raised like $20,000 in Denver for community needs. Wow. And it built out there into that. It used to be more of a community chest model. Everybody pool your dollars and then the community decides where it goes. So it's very important that it's community raised and then community decided through board and volunteers that are picking those priorities of what nonprofits, and we call them impact partners. Every United Way, though, is also its own 501c3. So the way they do things and operate slightly different. Sure. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's a little confusing when you're not as centralized. But we've been in a big revitalization of our brand and mission and scope, and leaning more into disaster response too, with us being the job of mobilizing the carrying power of the community, being a lot of trusted fiscal agent for dollars, and having strong corporate relationships on a local level or like Fortune 500 level. Sure. That disaster response is something we're leaning into on a local and a national level. But every United Way is able to pick some of their different priorities that the community sees are critical needs to be addressed. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I guess maybe talk for a second about like why we should care, right? Because I mentioned before we started, our business is primarily in public education. I had an opportunity to speak with Valdosta Police recently at a safety meeting, and it's just like, you mentioned society changed, and there's lots of things we can talk about, probably irrelevant and unimportant, but it does seem as a whole people are becoming more self-absorbed, more self-focused, not all negative, but just more individualistic. I've been in the process of, we're building a house, and so I've been interacting a lot with some Hispanic folks through that, and I'm like, they just seem to me a lot more community minded than some of my peers do. We have an offshore team with our software company overseas. They're very community minded, very community driven, and it seems like, at least in my view, we've drifted a little bit from that. It's become more about me. But I guess talk for a second about like, why should we care? What impact is there? The community needs that are there, and then we'll obviously talk about how to do that. But talk for a second about that. Like, why should we care?
Well, I mean, and I think you agree with it. I agree with that. And like I said, this is my thoughts and opinions. But I think we all see or sense that something's just not right, maybe in our society or in our soul. A lot of the things go back, in my view, to the financial crisis, the housing crisis, and COVID. COVID really changed people's lives and behaviors. We're still seeing, even though 5 years out, almost 2/3 of volunteers haven't re-engaged. A lot of your senior citizens that had been volunteering at soup kitchens, giving, teaching Sunday school, or even people coaching T-ball. When things shut down, they were able to, reflect and go, do I really want to keep doing that? Or do I want to do something else? And so that's changed. I think you're seeing a lot of young parents that are just extremely busy, 2 incomes, working, doing travel ball, trying to work a side job just to make ends meet and pay. And I think we're very busy. We're distracted a lot with our phones. Technology's great. I think we thought it was going to solve a lot more problems, and it does create efficiencies, where especially we're moving into AI. I use AI a lot to help me and my team with some tasks. But we also have lost that community sense. You talk about a long time ago where everybody knew their neighbors and sat on their front porch and supported each other, and you don't see that as much. I think you still see it, in South Georgia and in rural America more, which is good. But giving back and helping, whether it's your money or your time, and volunteering, is as good for your soul and your physical and mental health as anything that I see.
Yeah.
I think, reflecting that we're, a bigger part of and a piece of our community, and building, friendships and connections, and realizing that there's people that are, worse off or having challenging times too than us really does matter. I do agree. I think other cultures probably prioritize that in a different way than we do as our society, and I think we're very busy. I mean, I'm real busy, and sometimes I wonder, am I busy doing the right things?
Sure.
Or do I, need to spend more time focusing, time and effort to where maybe it truly matters?
Yeah. No, and I think, for me, our oldest is 5 years. Having kids kind of changed that lens some too. And part of the things that I like doing is exposing them to the fact that there are others less fortunate than us. And it's a balance, right? Because I want my kids to live in this bubble of a great life and abundance and all the things. But then the scary thing as a parent is you get in the real world and you're like, this isn't reality. You know what I mean? My parents created this vortex that doesn't actually exist. You know what I mean? And so I think for me personally, it's important to be involved even with your family. And we try to find projects. I'm not saying I'm out there doing community service every weekend, because that would be false. I'm not. But I do try to be intentional through the holidays of finding in Valdosta, delivering turkeys at Thanksgiving, or doing some type of volunteerism, and including our kids when we can, because it is, like you mentioned, very beneficial for us. It softens our heart, softens my heart, slows you down, makes me tender, makes me think about others around me more than about myself. And so I align with that. I see that, and including your kids in that. I think it's important for them to see the same thing. There are people that are struggling for whatever reason, and it's healthy to see that, I think, because it helps them appreciate what they do have.
It does, and there's a lot of people, and a lot of us are a lot closer to having a tough time than you may realize.
Sure.
Whether it's, a death in the family, an accident, an injury, divorce, job loss, natural disaster. I mean, there's a lot of things that can, take your legs out from under you and make life difficult. Even if you've worked hard, done right, stayed out of trouble, did your savings, all those checklists that you try to do as an adult, as a business owner, and life can hit hard.
Sure.
And I think understanding that and helping others in their time is what we're called to do, as Christians, but then also, as community partners. And it goes back, if you're not advocating for your community on a local, state, or national level, then somebody else is.
Sure.
And the best people that need to care about their community are people that live there.
Sure.
So, I mean, I really believe in love where you live. There's of course, issues everywhere, but
sure,
if you're not actively trying to make your community better, then you really can't expect other people to be doing that, because
sure,
you're the most invested with your kids and family. You talk about your kids. I mean, my oldest, she's 16 and driving now. That 5 years back, 2020 now, she was 11. Now 5 years forward, she's going to be 21.
Yeah.
I mean, that decade of life is a big change. And, and I've been trying to really reflect on that, on things I did right and things I did wrong, and maybe where I can help where she's at,
sure,
from 16 to 21. But it's hard not to see your kids still at that younger age. I mean, I remember those days where I could bring a balloon home and a coloring book and be a hero, or take them to the fun factory and blow $20, and it was just an amazing time, you know. But where they're at now is a special time too, of high school and sports and boyfriends and teenage life and stuff. So you balance that, and you understand, and we all, you know, we're all doing the best we can, and
That's right.
None of us get through this life unscathed. So you have challenges and issues. And one thing that we as United Ways have brought in is this ALICE report, and it's called Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed.
Okay.
It really talks about working class people with not a lot of margin in your life.
Sure.
Mainly hourly workers. There's a big difference between being an hourly worker and a salaried worker. Because, you know, salary, you got your check regardless for the most part. Sure. Hourly, if the storm takes out power to the business for 2 weeks and you don't have the opportunity to work, you're not getting paid. If you get sick, you're not going to work or getting paid.
Sure.
And it was a partnership with Rutgers in 2009 and the United Way of New Jersey, because they saw poverty was decreasing, but the need for social services and family struggling was still increasing. And so they created this, and Georgia became the 35th state. I think there's over 40 states using it. And there's good data with Family Connections. The Georgia Chamber's putting out good numbers. But it really shows the challenges of cost of living and what it does cost to just get by on essentially a shoestring budget. You know, we could say the shrinking middle class, the working poor, but it's a better terminology. And a lot of people are in that position,
sure,
especially with the way we've had inflationary pressures the last few years, 2 back-to-back natural disasters, now government shutdown. We talk a lot about resiliency, but you can only, you know, get punched and stand up so many times.
Sure.
Or even if you stand back up, it still could mean your jaw's broken, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And we're seeing that a lot in the work we're doing with the way United Way is trying to step in with help. We do some utility and food assistance, limited rent assistance. We provide funds to nonprofits for their work. And then we're doing a lot in the mental health space. That's one of our new initiatives, thanks to Resilient Georgia, promoting the 988 number, which is Suicide and Mental Health Crisis Hotline. And South Georgia.
I think that's a call and text now too, right?
Yes, it's a lot of different ways, but South Georgia is some of the highest call volume per capita.
Really?
One, I think because the needs there, we don't have enough mental health professionals and therapists and counselors in our area. And then 2, I think us and DBHDD and others have done a good job of promoting that it even exists.
Sure.
And so, you know, and we are really seeing that more people are calling and struggling and needing that help. Some of the stories, I'm kind of bouncing around.
No,
I'm sorry.
Great. No,
we see people come up to our door or need assistance, and we've had some families and seniors especially that are really struggling or taking care of kids that have told us that I've thought about killing myself for my kids to get my life insurance, or if it wasn't for my kids, I would think about killing myself because I can't go on, you know, with or being homeless or not knowing, you know, with food and stuff. And it's heartbreaking. And we've sent people to 988, you know, as a immediate reach out touch point so that they can get that professional guided help. You just never know what people are really going through. And I think a lot of us are all trying to, you know, keep it covered and keep it straight, especially men.
Sure.
You know, talking about the stresses that are on, you know, to be perfect. I worry about that, of course, with teenagers. You know, body image, Instagram posts, trying to look happy, successful, and pretty all the time. You know, but that's another issue that's affecting us in a lot of ways. We're seeing in our confidence in mental health, especially with our kids.
Yeah. And and you're saying you're seeing a increase in that?
Yeah, we really are. I mean, and of course the government shutdown and Helene has caused a lot more people to not have that margin in their life, and we're seeing more people taking on second jobs and issues just to get by, and that's where community relationships whether it matter. And there's a whole training in the mental health space with connections matter. People that have good friends, involved with churches, involved in organizations, volunteering, exercise, going for walks, lifting weights, hiking, being in nature. All that helps you build resiliency in your mind and in your health. Trey Battle, a friend of mine who does a lot of mental health work, he played at Georgia, played for the Dallas Cowboys. Now he's in the Air Force Reserves, but he was in a bad spot years ago, and he says, in one of his quotes is, sometimes your mind is the most dangerous place on earth. Your thoughts can really deceive you, and
absolutely.
It's important to be around people that love and care for you and can assist you, whether it's your mental health, your physical health, or your emotional health.
Yeah, and that can almost be, which is a funny, great segue, because the next is the power of small acts, right? Because I'm sitting here that can almost feel insurmountable. You know what I mean? Like almost not hopeless, but it's just like, how do you make an impact into all those situations? There's so many of them. And I think do talk about like how small acts matter, the small monthly deduction and what that means and things of that nature. But even speak to like, what can people listening do to help that? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, small acts do matter. We're doing our 2026 United We Thrive campaign, trying to raise $1.3 million. But, $5, $10 a month. Of course, it takes people giving big amounts to make that. But if thousands of people are giving just a little bit to, where they can, and getting involved, really does add up and create stable cash flow and giving for some of these nonprofits. The IRS values of hour volunteer, I think, around $35 an hour right now.
Okay.
So giving back is quantifiable and time. And a lot of people are easier to give money than their time.
Sure.
And there's no nonprofits that can do the work with staff alone. So volunteering, like LAMP, the homeless shelter Second Harvest, you can go to their website and sign up, a way to pack boxes, give out, really makes a big difference. And serving on boards. I just can't express how important it is to have people's time and effort in the oversight, the strategic planning, and really sharing your life experiences. We see that a lot where people are like, oh, I've never served on a board, or I don't know what to do, or I don't own a very successful business. Well, you have life experiences, and whatever you've done and experienced, good or bad, or your job and career, there's ways that you can give back and serve. And of course, serve where you're passionate. And that's where United Way comes in, where as an individual, as a business owner, you can sit down and talk to us, tell us what your corporate strategy is, what you're passionate about, how you want to give back, and us point you in the right direction of some worthy organizations. And that even falls into the government realm. There's so many boards, authorities, appointments that we as commissioners make, or city council make, that you need citizen engagement and oversight for local government to work effectively and responsibly.
Sure.
And so I just try to encourage people to just be passionate about something, get involved, give back, and support where you can. But and we see it on the assistance side. A lot of people that we do try to assist, it's only a couple of $100 they need. It may be $74 on their water bill. They just had a blip in the system. They had a rough month. They missed some hours for a paycheck. They need a little assistance for food. It's not, an insurmountable fix, but by helping and assisting that little bit may keep them from spiraling down to, eviction or homelessness, or taking out credit card advances on things that then end up piling into more money and stuff. Because a lot of these people, the issue is not having margin in your life. Now, of course, you create margin by saving or increasing your income and education levels. But with what we've experienced, especially in this area, there's been a lot of knocks to the family budget and the plans the last couple of years. So it's hard to get back on your feet.
Yeah. And talk a little bit more too about the boards, because it's interesting. I'm sitting here thinking, like, because I've been on some, and the ones I'm on now I love, it's great, but I have been on some where it's just like, man, are we just wasting our time? Does that make sense what I mean when I say that? Like the being in business, being in private sector, and I know you know this, and it's interesting to me you had that transition, because I don't know that I could make that transition. It's just the pace is different, the level of demand for excellence is different. You know what I mean? And then you get on a small not-for-profit and you're just like, I don't have the time, but if I did have the time, we would change a lot here. Does that make sense of what I'm trying to say? And so I guess it seems you're saying that that's an important way to give back, which I don't disagree with, but I do think for listeners that had that same thought I did of like, I don't know that I want to, because some people do, I'm not saying you or I have, some people just go join boards to have I'm on this board and I'm on that. You know, it's more of a resume thing versus an impact thing. And so, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about any of that?
Well, I mean, you do have people that, join boards for that or connections, but that's the difference. It's about, seeing where you can help and assist. But there's some, I feel like I work harder than I ever worked in the private sector, honestly. I mean, because it's 24/7
Sure.
and the mental stress, and you're trying to solve. You have to realize you're trying to deal with big issues that some are just not solvable, and that's the tough part. Most in business, you can solve the issue.
Yeah.
There's an end goal. Some of it's just maintaining the tension or to keep
Sure.
things from, not getting worse. But if you don't feel like you're being rewarded, the best is to find that board that you feel like your time and expertise is valued on the back end and worth
Sure.
your effort. And it's a balance on the volunteer side. You try not to, you need people to help, but you don't want to overstress them and work. But I can understand that part of what you're saying. But what you don't need is what we see is a lot of people go, well, I want to create a new nonprofit, or I want to do something. For the most part, somebody's probably doing it already in the community. They may not be doing it well.
Sure.
But look and see and make sure that's truly an unmet need before you dive down that of trying to create something. Maybe it needs to be a subcommittee of another stronger nonprofit or one of the programs that they can implement without having to create the whole structure of a new nonprofit. We see a lot of people that just because you don't know that it's going on doesn't mean it's not going on in a community. So
Sure.
I think it's always best to do research, get educated, and find out. But back to what you're saying as a business owner, I mean, or anybody, you work hard for your money, whether you earn it, create it, make it, the time. And so make sure that you're getting the dividends and the reward of your giving, especially if you're talking, bigger money and want to see the impact and results. And so I think you really have to show those, KPIs and accountability to keep people engaged. And businesses, what we're seeing, they care, and it's the same ones that are caring a lot.
Yeah.
But they're already, as a business owner, your job is to make money for your family or your shareholders, and then you have to pay your taxes, and then of course most want to be good corporate partners and citizens, but it's not the business community's sole job to make sure that the community is functioning well.
Sure.
That is, where churches and government and school systems all have play a part too. And we see a lot of the business world stepping up in a big way, and it's tough. They've had just as many issues, especially with hurricanes and inflationary pressures and challenges too.
Yeah.
I'm really inspired and thankful for the amount of businesses that are still able to have enough to give extra
Sure.
to make a difference in our communities.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you say that too, because we've talked about that here locally. Like, you just feel like you ask the same people over and over and over on the fundraising side of things, different organizations I've been involved in. And you feel like if as a business, it's like, it just kind of gets old after a while. You know what I mean? I have things that we care about and we sponsor them. And outside of that, like, I just can't solve everybody's problems,
That's true. And you have to really say, and it's okay to say, that is not top priority for me. I mean, this is where but that's where coming with a plan with what's your corporate strategy, your mission, your vision, your goals, understanding where your employees care about can help align that, because you can be pulled in too many directions. But if more people are giving and engaged, then it lightens the burden. And I think there are plenty of businesses that can engage and support and find a way, or just like you said, even $5 makes a difference. Just like, I mean, none of us exercise as much as we should, but a little bit does go a long ways and makes a difference when you first start. And it doesn't mean you got to be a bodybuilder just because you go to the gym, but we know how that does matter. Yeah. So
how does a person, like an individual, I hear you say a business can come meet with you guys, y'all can help, those kind of things. You might do individuals too, but
yes.
How does an individual all right, I want to get involved, but where do I start?
Well, one of the best
things, a list of organizations, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, depending on where you live. I mean, there's probably a United Way close to you. I would definitely look at that, even your local chamber, because a lot of nonprofits are part of your local chamber. For us, you can go to our website, gvuw.org. You can email staff at gvuw.org to learn about and see our annual review and where our money has gone the last many years. And we have 22 impact partners. It's a partnership, and we support programs. We partner with nonprofits, but we fund programs, and then they report back on where those dollars went and who they've helped, with scholarships and assistance. And then also we have a newsletter, and then every month when we send that newsletter out, we put new fundraiser events, volunteer opportunities, ways to give back. And for a lot of times, with the relationships we have with the executive directors, either impact partners or just other nonprofits that we assist, support, know about, because we really try to be the hub of human services. Like the chamber is business focused for small business.
Sure.
We really want to be that for nonprofits. And for a lot of times, I know what nonprofits are looking for a board member. And kind of can help place that if it's the right passion and expertise. I always encourage every board, no matter how small, you really need to have an insurance person, a lawyer, an accountant, a banker, and then now a marketing, IT, social media tech person on that board as key things to build off of, because all those people and sectors bring a lot of relationships and expertise that can save you a lot of money. Having those people. So that's always critical to kind of start with, and then build out from there. But there's some large nonprofits that really employ a large number of people in our community and sector, and then of course you have the smaller nonprofits that don't have to do annual audits and things because they're not bringing in that much revenue.
Sure. Yeah, and talk about, I forget the website you said, where you can go look at those kind of reports.
Candid GuideStar, they used to be two and they merged. You can go there and get some free information about the ranking and the transparency and accountability of all kinds of nonprofits and foundations. A lot of your big corporations and big foundations use that and pay the subscription to really see and score and dig in before they even make the conversation about investing. But the Greater Valdosta United Way, we're platinum level. We started off at silver and over the years have worked out, and that's the highest level for transparency, accountability, board oversight, and different things. And so we're real proud of that. It's definitely just speaking on that. When you run your own business, as long as your CPA and the IRS is good, if it's a private owned business,
sure.
I mean, you're good to go with what you do with your funds and money. But running a large nonprofit, you have CPA, you have auditor, you have your board accountability, you have the public and donor that give you accountability. So I think about that every day, that it's not my money, and I'm trying to do the best I can with it and honor the wishes of the donors and that support. and track and have, accountability and reporting on that. Same thing as, as now a county commissioner. That's the taxpayers' money.
Sure.
That's people that have paid that, for the government to provide critical services and needs. So I think on everything, it's about being intentional and having the right perspective. So not to say everybody I do it perfect every day, sure, but we really try to pride ourselves in that because it's hard to earn it. So people that want to give it to you, you have to honor and respect that.
Has being the county commissioner changed any of those views, perspectives of government and community not-for-profit partnerships, or like has any of that evolved, or what's that experience been like?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've learned so much that I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, it's so important to have professional staff to be whether you're an organization or a government, to be at a size and scope that you can have the right people at the right positions and the professionals. Learned a lot about roads and water and sewer. I mean,
sure,
when good government is working, you don't think about what is going on,
sure,
really. I mean, it's when like you have a natural disaster and all of a sudden the lights aren't working, the toilet's not flushing, your phones aren't working. Like that's when you think about what it takes to keep all those things active and engaged and moving, and the people behind the scenes that do that.
Sure.
It's eye-opening, and I'm thankful for all the people that do so much work and businesses. I mean, just like I had no idea what you do, but
sure,
that all that stuff doesn't just magically happen. And I think that's one thing we all assume, or many people assume, someone else is going to do it. Someone else is going to volunteer. Someone else is going to pick up that bottle on the side of the street that we walk past. Somebody else's job do that, or someone else is going to fix this. And I think we have to lean in and do it, some stuff ourselves, or raise our hand and say, I'll be that person to try to help or make a difference where I can. I mean, none of us can do it alone, but we can't assume that it's somebody else's responsibility to do it. Either.
Yeah, and even on that topic, I think a great, land the plane type part of the conversation is like, all right, I've heard everything you've said. It's the holidays. You got me motivated. One, I would say kind of like, we talked about sort of the challenges that have led us to here, kind of share moving into the new year, kind of what do you think those challenges are going to continue? Is there anything like you're specifically hopeful for that's on the way, that kind of thing? And then if I had to do like one or two basic things as just an individual, what would you tell somebody to do?
Well, I think the government shutdown is going to have some lasting effects as things reopen and people build out that. And Helene is, we're 1 year past that. Luckily, we had no real storms this year. But long-term recovery is really just ramping up in that. We're the fiscal agent for our long-term recovery efforts. Cook County is part of that. It's Lowndes County and the surrounding counties. So there's going to be, church organizations that are coming in, professional disaster nonprofits that'll come in and do some of the repairs and the work. The state has launched their efforts. Second Harvest has taken a major lead in that. Red Cross is providing a lot of funding to help with steel roof repairs, appliances, just funding. We had a lot of nonprofits that had damage to their buildings that still haven't been totally repaired, because of insurance and issues, and trying to, inspire and partner with contractors and church groups and roofing companies to look at the needs and issues and work on that. So that's a big thing we're involved in moving into the year. Volunteer, give back, look at us for ways to give and serve. Ask your church. We are seeing churches re-engage and open back their food pantries, their clothes closets, things like that. Support your local church that you or religious organization that you're affiliated with, and giving, and see what they do internally, because believe me, they need volunteers and support. And if not, think about bringing that back, because we still have seen a lot of resources not come back onto the table, you could say, since COVID. So, please reach out, give. Like I said, we're doing our United We Thrive campaign 2026 right now with the goal of $1.3 million. You can go to our website. We got a text to give, which is easy to sign up. And one of the best things is if you're a local business, and think about bringing workplace giving into your community. Because as a business owner, you get hit a lot for the corporate check, or can you sponsor this? But see what your employees care about and where they want to give and engage. And the best companies that we have that partnership with is where the company matches either 100% or a percentage of what the employees raise.
Sure.
And some do that with like wear jeans on Friday. Some do a chili cook-off.
Sure.
Some just say, I'm going to take $3 out of my paycheck. But even for a small organization, whether you have 10 employees or 200, it can really add up. And seeing that big check going where this organization's promising to give $4,000 or $14,000 throughout the year makes a difference. And then you can also, for us, designate it to some of our key impact partners. And I think as a business owner, you'll see where the hearts and passion of your employees are, and you can probably align that into some team building activities and charitable day programs to give. We also do 2 day of carings a year. We just had our one in October with over 200 volunteers doing critical projects. We'll have another one in the spring, and we're working in May, so you'll be able to see that as a way to volunteer. It happens on a Friday, 4 hours of service work, paint, landscaping, packing boxes, throwing stuff away, decluttering. Makes a big difference for organizations. And we're wanting to try to create some of these day of carings in some of our outlying rural communities. Even if it's just helping us, can help you volunteer and line up some trash pickup days on the street stuff, you know.
Sure.
I mean, that's where we really, I think, shine as an organization, is helping mobilize, coordinate, and financially support, you know, some of that work and need that needs to be done in our community.
That's amazing.
We're trying. We hadn't quite figured it out, but I'm very thankful for my staff, my board, and you know, a caring South Georgia that seems to step up to the challenges as much as we can. But we do need to realize we want people to thrive, not just survive.
Yeah.
And some people have to make better choices. I mean, there's no question. You know, you're personally accountable for the life you live and decisions you make. But we also have to realize the last few years have been exceedingly difficult and strange times. And it's hard to just get back on your feet for a lot of people.
Sure. That's amazing.
So, well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's an honor to be here. Hopefully we, you know, had a good conversation, and
I enjoyed it.
and shared some quality information. And also go to unitedforalice.org if you want to learn more about the cost of living in your local community, different state reports, county reports, zip code, to really see, you know, how people are getting by and what it costs to get by. We've seen just the most recent numbers is, of course, 2023 data, but there were some counties in Georgia that went up 15,000 of just the basic bare minimum cost of living from 2022 to 2023. Wow. So if you feel like it's getting harder to get by and that everybody else is on Facebook, Instagram, seeming like they're living amazing lives, you're not alone. Life is more expensive. There's, you know, more fees, more challenges. Everything's up, and for a lot of people, you know, your raises have not kept up with that, and that brings stress and anxiety to people. You know, families and financials are what drives most people's stress and anxiety. Yeah. So don't think you're alone. Honestly, understand that you're, you know, part of the majority that are dealing with that. And in some ways that helps, because a lot of times we feel like our problems, like you're the only one dealing with it. But that's why therapists and professionals can help you, because they know that your problems are aligned with a lot of other people's problems. That's you know. So,
their own problems.
That's right. That's right.
They're dealing with the same thing.
That's exactly right. So,
well, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
United is the way, and God bless, and thankful for South Georgia.
That's awesome. You guys take care. Till next month. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Do Life Well podcast, where we explore topics like fatherhood, business, health, wellness, and so much more. With each episode, we aim to inspire and guide you in embracing the art of doing life well. If you found value in today's conversation, please leave us a review, subscribe, and share with your friends. Until next time, continue the journey of doing life well.